Hi, today I have a message called a reassuring picture. Okay, so we're starting with truth is dependable and truth is everywhere. So there's that same stability I've talked about before, and it can be a challenge for us when we begin to feel an intense sense of instability. It can be a challenge to find that truth, which is the same as stability. They're synonyms. Within everyone and everything at that moment. But that's the challenge we're ready to face. We're ready to see through what isn't there and sort of relax into or acknowledge as one with us and everyone and everything this truth that is the core of everyone and everything. It's present everywhere in everything, and therefore it's dependable. So we learn to depend on what may not be visible to us, an inner sense, and to gift it to everyone and everything in our sight, because we're only ever looking out at ourselves. So when we acknowledge our true nature in everyone and everything, that lends a very deep helping hand to everyone and everything. So truth is dependable and truth is everywhere. There aren't any exceptions. We can feel a sort of struggle when we're making an exception, and I know for me it still seems to take time. Maybe an issue will come up for me for 2 or 3 days repeatedly. It'll, just come to mind, flood my mind with a sense of particular sharp discomfort, or that's something to notice. When we address it on the emotional level, if you feel like a sharp emotional discomfort and we address that appropriately, it doesn't need to turn into a physical pain or discomfort to get our attention. And if we're experiencing physical pains and discomfort, that's fine. It's gotten our attention, and then eventually we're going to address it on the emotional level, and we're going to get to the heart of it. And you might not consciously be aware that you did that. It's not like I've talked about the stack of work on our desks before, but it can be much faster and unnoticed as a separate thing that just something disappears. You're just going through your day, responding appropriately, and a discomfort that seems to have been with you for a long time just is not. And that's how this is meant to be, because we do our work, so to speak. We respond appropriately, and we don't need alarm clocks. If we're waking up, we don't need alarm clocks. We've already heeded the call of the alarm clock. But it seems they're repetitions and levels, and we seem to have different alarms to respond to every day, and that's our job right now until we're at peace completely. When I'm at peace completely, I don't perceive anymore. So that's kind of the joke of it. Like if I'm still perceiving, no, I'm not at peace completely, but I have my work to do. So the goal is not to perceive anymore. As beings, as we truly are, we have no need of physical perception. And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about kind of where, using that word and knowing it's not really true, but where we actually are all the time. And we use words of physical perception to describe it, but it's pointing to what's prior to and beyond. It's pointing to the actual power that's here in everyone and everything. And the perception sort of a block to that. It's what we designed perception to block our awareness of this power, this equal power that we share with all. Okay. So truth is everywhere. And that's what we're here to tune into, this equal, same truth within everyone and everything, regardless of appearances. We don't need ego to judge separate things. Our awareness of this truth is our protection. And where we feel very resistant is a place where we can go to work. I think that's okay. Just seeing if there are any little bits that need to get ironed out. If there are questions and objections, surfacing for you, those will get ironed out, clarified. But yeah, feel free to use the comments section if you want to bring anything up. I generally don't get a lot of comments, so I'm not expecting them, but yeah, it's time to let go of all expectations. So if there's anything you want to bring up, or sort of have ironed out simultaneously with me, any little flicker or resistant part in our minds, then yeah, bring it up. Okay. When a facet of your false mind's dysfunction is exposed, be reassured. You get to leave this behind. So that means pain or discomfort, emotional or physical. Be reassured about that. Always be reassured about that. It got your attention, so you can leave it behind. It's a place, I'll use I language, it's a place in my mind where I'm incorrect, and I've been holding on to an incorrect concept to protect my separate identity, which needs no protection because it never actually existed. So I can see what a huge waste of effort it would be to attempt to protect and preserve something that never truly was. And yeah, it seems like within this framework we're perceiving you kind of need one of those, a separate identity, but we can it can be the lightest jacket ever that anyone would wear, gossamer thin. We barely need anything, and whatever we need gets provided for us. It's nothing we have to strive to hold in place or protect. Okay. So when we experience that discomfort, there is a resistance to what is here, to what is fully protective, to what shows us our way. It makes our way obvious and does the same for everyone and everything else. Think of a plant getting instruction in how to grow, right? That same thing can instruct me and the plant simultaneously in harmony. Excuse me. And that's what we're going for. That sounds a little too active. Allowing. You get what I'm saying, though. That's kind of where we're focused, what we seem to be working on right now. See if there's anything else there. You get to leave this behind, so think of just your path as one of dropping burdens every day, mental burdens. And as you drop them, they're not there for somebody else to trip on. They just disappear behind you because they never actually were. We gave them their apparent being, and they don't need to be seen or experienced anymore. So we drop, and those burdens disappear behind us, and they're not there for anyone else to stumble over either. We just kind of leave a path of light behind us, and it's an easy path to walk. It's a very cleansing path to walk. And the light part of it is painless. The part where we would experience pain is where we think it's still a good idea to resist what we are, the truth, the stability, the light, and where we still think it's a good idea to try to protect the separate identity instead, or resist the light. Okay, the idea of light as false light is coming up for me because I saw a couple of YouTube thumbnails as false light, and so I'm just asking about that. And I don't think I listened to any of them, so I don't really know what that's talking about, but there was just a little ping When I saw that and the idea of, well, you have to resist what could actually be harmful to some of this fear of trusting the wrong thing and opening the door to it and then becoming harmful. Oh yeah, I'm just supposed to bring this up. That's why I was getting those reflections. I experienced that this morning, actually. As I woke up, I felt a wave of, what do I call it, love, being lifted up. But also the sense of kind of being operated by that love. And any remaining resistance, when those waves come in, any remaining resistance to them, we will also feel. And the thought that intruded quite quickly after the experiences, you wouldn't want to give yourself over to this. Here are ways in which something could take you over and cause your body to do harm to another. So just looking at that sacred cow, believing harm is real and harm happened. We've been working very hard to convince ourselves that something that is not of God could be. And I can see now it's unnecessary, but it's good that it kind of surfaces with that sharp angle and pokes and disturbs. Things that seem to poke and disturb are useful because that's where the flow is impeded. So we allow that objection to rise up and be seen. And when it's really and truly seen for what it is, it dissolves. It was never there. It's an illusion. So kind of like if you stare at an illusion long enough, there's nothing left to see. Okay. Which is good. We don't try to press it down. We don't try to contradict it. We don't try to hide it. We just let it surface, let it be. And if it's true, it'll stay. and there won't be any feeling of disturbance associated with it. And if it's not true, it doesn't have the power to stay. Okay, what else? I kind of feel like when I pause, I just want to keep pausing forever instead of talking. And then the question comes up like, maybe I'm going to be done doing this. It comes up a lot. Okay. There isn't a pool you can look into that will not reveal its clarity right down to the bottom. I have to say at the same time, though, these messages that come through are very, very helpful for me. So I'll do this as long as I'm supposed to. So if there's something that comes up that feels disturbing, if you think of looking into it like it's a pool of water, and wait for the clear seeing to come in, and when the clear seeing comes in, you can see that what you put in front of yourself as an illusion, you can see through it. It becomes transparent. And then you can see right down to the bottom of that clear water. Because that's essentially what everyone and everything is. I may have placed a surface upon them, that's my own projection of fear, that makes them look solid, immovable, murky. But when I'm still and when I wait and when I have the desire to see you as you truly are, underneath any fear I projected upon you to give you a particular appearance, then I see that clear pool right down to the bottom, and then that's where I get to be. If I allow myself to see the clear pool of you or of something right down to the bottom, then I get to be in that place. I get to dwell in that place. I get to allow that clarity to give me all my thoughts, and therefore cause the perception of both my actions and your actions, both my speech and your speech. This is harmonic. To cause the perception of the harmonic and harmless. Okay. When you feel turmoil, if you can just be still and reveal what ego believes is needed, because whenever you feel turmoil, ego there's a ego belief there, and there's a belief about need. I need fill in the blank. So when you feel turmoil, if you can just be still and reveal what ego believes is needed right now, you will be met with relief. This is a practice I can allow to go deeper. I can say with quite a bit of confidence that if you're listening to this, it's a practice you already do in some way, and it's one we can all allow to go deeper to. Because I have my special areas where I'm just like, nope, this is a discomfort the world has caused, not me. And I just have to deal with it somehow. Or not, or not. I could do my work in this area where I haven't been and see what happens. So if I say to Spirit, who's always here, I believe I need thus and such, and let that be the answer to the ego's perceived need, looking at the perception of need. And that doesn't mean we don't take a bath when we believe we need a bath, eat food when we believe we need food, but we might take a beat and stop and look at the need and see what happens to it. There might be areas where we're like, no sir, I'm not questioning that need. I'd be like that with my showers. I don't think so, not today, So there are things we're going to absolutely refuse to question a perceived need, and that's fine, because there are a whole bunch of other little areas where we have refused to question, and now we're willing to just sit there with that perceived need and see what happens. That seems a lot easier and wanted. We actually have a desire to do that. So there are going to be these little areas where we refuse to do that before we're willing, and other little areas where we're like, no sir, this is how I do life, and that is my pattern, and that is what I'm holding on to, which is fine. It's fine. If it becomes a problem and you need to sit with it, then you're going to want to sit with it, and then you're going to do it. So I just feel like we're guided in every moment to address things in an appropriate way, and we can't let the ego take over and say, I'm going to end the ego. You need an identity here to communicate, and so whatever we need will be taken care of for all of us. Okay, I do remember when I had a spiritual experience that felt pretty deep, pretty significant back in 2010, and one of the happinesses in the wake of that was that I had a name and I had an address, and that seemed like the most amazing thing. And from this perspective, it just seemed so strange at the time, because there was the part of me hearing this voice, and then there was the part of me that was just old me, that was me hearing that voice. And then there was this new part of me that seemed to come in and be amazed at the same time. And now from my perspective, I can see, oh yeah, you would be amazed. You had a name and an address. You have a way to communicate now within this illusion. Okay. I think we're on the last statement I got. Okay, when you reorient toward truth, you shift your focus from a frightening picture to a reassuring picture. So truth is always here, despite what illusion the ego's been cooking up. And we can always reorient toward truth. And furthermore, if we're defining someone or something is not that sane, calm truth, we're just observing the fear we've projected onto someone or something that looks separate, and yet all the someones, not a single one can be separate. All the somethings Not a single one can be separate. So where we're projecting fear, that's where we got a sense of the stability of our separate identity. But we don't need our separate identity to be stable when we're finding our identity within everyone and everything. When we're finding our stability there, our ability to find our identity everywhere, then we don't need to build up a false stability of a separate identity and try to lean on that. In order to have a perceived stability of a separate single identity, I would have to project frightening pictures outward. That's why I would try to protect this thing that seems to be subject to all those frightening things in the world. So I can't shore up a separate identity without projecting frightening pictures in the world I'm seeing. And if we've gotten tired of the frightening pictures, it's only our own fear, it's no one else's, then we find a way, we ask for it, and we're provided with a way to stop being so stressed by the frightening pictures. We start to find what's behind the frightening pictures. We start to acknowledge the frightening pictures are just the fear I projected outward, and they're not real. But what is shining behind all the frightening pictures, I myself, responsibilities, happiness, I myself have shot out there, is this beautiful innocence, this beautiful unified love. It's nothing to be afraid of. So I shot all those frightening pictures out there to keep myself afraid of something when it was really only love there. Because when love washes in, there's no more separate identity to be had. There's no more experience of that to be had. It ends the experience of the perception of being separate. So ego would be very threatened by actual love. Ego is not threatened by love of separate things and people. But ego is very threatened by universal love, by actual love, because it's the light that, ego's a shadow, it's the light that shines the shadow away, so it becomes apparent it never existed. We don't have to be afraid of that, because we have never been that. We have never been that false identity, and neither has anyone we've been calling else. So we're safe in doing our work, in understanding we made every frightening picture we'd ever see, and behind that is harmlessness. We're safe because safety's everywhere. We're safe because safety's the true nature of everyone and everything under any fear we're using as a smokescreen to keep ourselves from seeing its true nature. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you for listening. Happy waking up. Happy paying attention to alarms. Happy processing your alarms appropriately. And I will be doing the same over here. Thank you.